Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Jonah and the Pod. Today we have a not so special guest. We have a very special guest, someone that I've had the privilege of knowing my whole life. Have, I guess, traveled Europe and Africa and Lebanon together with. Someone that, like I said, has been involved in my life literally since I was born. Has been my second mother in some stages.
Sometimes your first.
Sometimes my first. So please welcome Jeanette,
Hello.
my sister. There's been a lot of chaos leading up to this with cameras and everything. But
Well, not even. Like, we were supposed to record this last week.
Oh,
And like
yeah.
12 hours before we recorded, I
Yeah.
broke my leg.
Yeah, so story time, I guess. Last Thursday.
No, it's been nearly 2 weeks.
No,
2 weeks ago.
Oh, so 2 weeks ago on Friday, we were supposed to record this episode, and then the night before, Jeanette breaks her leg, or breaks her foot.
Yeah, my ankle.
Yeah, then chaos ensued. So I'm hoping this is a really good episode. Maybe that's why all these things are happening.
Well,
Maybe it's the worst episode. We'll see.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't feel prepared, but I guess maybe that's the best.
That's okay.
The best way.
I will ask you, maybe introduce yourself, things you like to do, what you're up to.
Things I like to do. All right. Well, like you said, I'm Jeanette. I'm the oldest of the family. So I've got 3 younger brothers. You're the youngest. I am married to a wonderful man. His name's Ralph. We've been married for, I don't know, since November. I don't know how many months. I don't know, 8, 9 months.
9 months.
What else? There's just so much about me that I can't talk about.
Yeah,
so I work for the government, but we're not going to talk about that. Prior to breaking my legs, was really into fitness and NRL, and I'm not playing NRL, but watching.
You've traveled literally everywhere.
Yeah, I've traveled. I think that's something I actually wanted to talk about, was travel. But that was a big part of my life for a long while, and then hopefully again will be. I'm supposed to leave in 6 weeks.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah, that's cool. I feel like Jeanette's been a bit nervous about this episode.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's okay. I'll ask you. So I say this to every guest. We're gonna go through your testimony. You can go as in depth as you want. You can start from birth. You can start from teenagehood. Start from whatever it is. Go in depth or as shallow as you like. And I'll probably just ask questions on it. Or whatever.
Okay. So I was born into a family where our mum was Orthodox and dad was Maronite. So I was baptized Maronite. So I was Roger. But by the time that mum and dad started going to a Protestant church, I was like 5. So I started at Toongabbie when I was 5. Spent most of my childhood there. There was a short period where we went to a different church, but during that time, I was still going to youth at Toongabbie, so I never fully left Toongabbie. So I guess like childhood was actually really good for us. We have a really, really good mum who. Why did you laugh at that?
I just had.
No, I have. We have a really good mum, but like for our upbringing, I think a lot of the credit goes to her. She's always been like my best friend. I think anyone who knows me knows that mum and I have a very, very deep relationship. Sometimes it's
too deep.
Not too deep. Sometimes I'm the mum and she's the daughter, but it's good. I think we've just established a relationship where we've shifted from mother-daughter to friends, and now she's my mum when she needs to be, but but she's my friend most of the time. Now that I'm married, it's been a big adjustment in terms of like my family life because our family's pretty close. But I think Ralph's made himself part of the family really well.
Yeah.
It's actually really nice to see when you guys hang out or whatever, just chatting. He's a good guy. I like him.
I mean, I hope so.
Oh yeah. What else was I going to tell you? I don't know. Childhood was really good. I think something that's probably different look, I can't speak for you, but I can speak for me when I say,
It's interesting because you were in, I don't know, you were in the same life as I was, just
we have very different
like
lives.
9 years before me. How old are you?
I am 8 years older than you.
8 years older than me.
Or maybe I hadn't turned 8. I was about to turn 8 when you were born.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say like you're 8 years.
Yeah.
You was like same life, but 8 years before. So you actually were there when mum and dad fully gave their lives to Christ and all that stuff.
But I was too young to know. All I remember was going to Tungabi. So like as young kids, I knew my friends because at that time, like, or until primary school, I think in year 4, I went to the school that they were all going to. So when it comes to my testimony, I guess the childhood part of it is, raised in a Christian home. But I've always been pretty, I guess, analytical and proof based, I guess. And I remember one class in Sunday school, the Sunday school teacher, I think it was Ronnie actually. I think he was teaching Sunday school. And shout out to Ronnie. And he did the like sort of gospel message for us all. It was the 2nd of September 2000. Yeah, or maybe 2002. But yeah, I know it was 2nd of September. And he did a gospel sort of message and asked the Sunday school kids, if you want to become a Christian, pray this prayer and all this sort of stuff. And I didn't do it because I wanted to see what would happen if my friends did it. And it was just, I don't know, it's just classic me. I needed proof. So they, a few of my friends like did the gospel prayer and stuff. And I don't know, I think it was all in my head because as soon as we exited church, they just seemed so happy and so like overjoyed and just different, like instantly different. And I was like, cool, it's good enough for me. So, because I understood that, I was a sinner and I needed to put my sins before God and repent of them and accept Him. So I remember I went home, I went into my bed and I said, you know what, if you can answer me so quickly and show me that you can change people's lives, then you can change mine. But I was young. I didn't really I didn't have I wasn't a bad kid. I just kind of like trotted through Christian life a little bit when I was younger. And then I don't know, this could go in so many different ways. There's so many different aspects of like turning points, I guess. But I think a lot of it happened in my like more adult life. So
would you that time where you just went like after you saw your friends and stuff, that's when you gave your life to Christ?
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't like anyone sort of, I know there was a prompting, but it was like by yourself.
Yeah, it was by myself. Like I knew all, like I had been taught, since I was 5 that, this is, I would have been 10. So yeah, 2002. So it's 5 years of hearing about God and stuff. But we were always so involved in the church. And I think going through church in Tungabi was really good. When we went to the other church, I wanted to get baptized, and there was some complications about that. So I remember I went back to Toonie one Sunday and said, hey, I'm getting baptized today. And so all the Toonie people came and I got baptized, and that was the day you became a Christian. And then that's when we started going back to Toongabbie and had been there until maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Toonie times were really good. I was in the worship team ministry. For a while I was a youth leader before your time. I think you would have been pretty young when I was still in school when I was a youth leader. I think I was like in 10 or 11 when I started youth leading. Towards the end it got tough, and I feel like I was so focused on how do we fix this problem that I stopped trying to fix the problems inside of myself and was so focused on how do we just resolve these issues and whatever. Anyway, that's like bouncing all over the shop. In between all of that, like I traveled a lot, and I think this is the thing that differs between me and maybe some people that are like from Christian families, is that I've been involved in the world a lot, but not necessarily in a what's the word, like not
Being in the world, not of the world.
Yeah, I've seen the world and I've seen what's out there, and not just physically like within traveling, but I've experienced the way different people live outside of our bubbles. And I think sometimes we get caught up in our Christian bubbles and we don't realize. And that was actually a big factor when I met Ralph, was I wanted somebody who was, I get understood that there's just so much to this world.
Someone that knew both the world and what it had to offer, and God and what He has to offer, but still chooses God.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I said this to you the other day, like one of the, I guess, proudest things that I've ever done. But yeah, definitely one of the things that I think I'll always appreciate doing, even if I don't know, maybe it doesn't mean as much to you and Anthony, but was taking you both overseas. So did 3 months with Anthony and then did 6 weeks with you. And it was just, as like the older sister, I just got to expose my brothers in a safe way to what's outside of our bubbles. And I don't know, you can tell me what you like.
I think it was cool. First thing I sort of like, maybe I've realized recently, is like we didn't have any, like, we didn't butt heads at all, me and you. We went for like a month.
Yeah.
Like,
6 weeks.
I'm sure we had like some arguments, but not really like.
No, I don't think so. Even with Anthony, I went for 3 months and I don't think we argued.
So that was cool. Like that we could actually have like we wouldn't actually stab each other.
I think for me it's because I felt a lot of responsibility. Like, and I think I've said this to like mom and a few different people when I came back. It was, the responsibility isn't my own. It's not for myself. It's making sure that, you know, every day you're fed and you're safe and you have somewhere to sleep. And
I was 18, 19 at the time. I think I turned 20 on the trip.
Yeah.
I turned 20 on the trip. So yeah, it was like my first actual experience.
Yeah.
Overseas, and same with Anthony, I think.
Yeah, so I took Anthony as soon as he finished his HSC. We booked a one-way ticket and we left, Anthony and I.
Yeah, they went for 3 months though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. We experienced a bunch of weird things. I don't remember the France riots.
Yeah. So I've been in France for 2 different incidents, one terrorist attack and then those riots that we were together in. It's a whole different story, but yeah, that was actually really interesting for me because I felt like your protector that day when we were in those riots, and I could see your fear a little bit as much.
Really?
Yeah,
I was loving it.
No, I don't know about that.
I was getting tear gas, so it wasn't really fun, but like, apart from that, I was like, this is actually.
Yeah, we were definitely choking on the tear gas. But yeah, I did feel super protective because we were just in such a awkward, like, unknown situation. But anyway, yeah, so I've traveled everywhere and I've been exposed to a lot of people. And I think I've always kind of used that as a bit of a foundation for my own beliefs and trusting God in a world that's so chaotic. There's just so much chaos around, and there's so much hardship. It was actually funny. I was talking to a colleague yesterday, and he's a Christian guy, and we said, I don't know if we know many Christians in our job. And then he was like, it's weird because you would think that in a job where you're meant to be helping people that you would have more Christians. And I thought, I think it's the fact that this job is so hard that it makes you question so much. And I've had to have those battles too. There's a lot of badness you see. But it's knowing that God is gracious, and in the badness in the world there is peace. Anyway,
it's interesting. I've never actually thought about it like that. Of it's hard not saying what you
yeah. The thing is, most people would know, but I just rather not.
No,
just disclaimer. If you ask me, I would tell you. I just rather not be on social media.
Yeah, that's the obvious. But yeah, the things that you would have to go through and whatnot, I guess, see is crazy. You actually see
badness.
Yeah, badness.
Yeah, that's the only way to describe it. I see the badness of the world.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I was thinking about my life and stuff, I was thinking about anger and how much I hate anger. And I remember, I don't know which one of you, I don't even know how old I was. When we were younger, one of you kind of called me out for being angry. I don't know if it was you.
It was all of us.
Probably all of you. Yeah, I used to be an angry kid and I got called out on it in a way that hit me hard. I don't know. You could probably imagine what was said to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I said, I can't be like that anymore. I can't be an angry person. And so... Yeah.
Sounds like an Anthony thing to do.
Yeah, because he knew it would hurt me. But it worked because it has... it's changed me a lot. So I went from being a really angry kid, and the anger was there for a reason. Like I said, we grew up in a really good family, but we had a thorn in our side. I think being the oldest, I copped it the most. I'm going to take a sip of water 1 second.
Yeah, it's like I was saying before, there was 8 years which I wasn't involved. So in that time period, there was a lot of learning from my parents. It was they became Christians during that time, but there was also learning how to be Christian parents, how to do all this stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. That's how I was
I think I
had the good end of.
I think I once kind of gave it to you a bit because I'm like, you haven't seen what I've seen. You haven't gone through what I've gone through.
I can't remember.
Because I saw a lot with people when we were younger. And I'm not going to go into it because out of respect for people. Yeah. But yeah, I saw a lot and I was exposed to a lot that a young girl shouldn't be. I was exposed to a lot of bias and stereotypes, and that was pretty hard. And the idea of I'm different because I'm a girl and you guys are boys. That's funny actually, because if I think about my childhood and apart from that sort of issue, that external issue, the main internal issue I had was this idea of not having sisters. Maybe someone to carry the burden with me, or I don't know, be my friend.
It explains why you did all those things to me.
Dress you up as a girl. Yeah. Well, you were supposed to be a girl. I remember the day.
No, Roger was supposed to be a girl.
No, as in for me, you were meant to be a girl. You were the youngest. I had 2 brothers. You were supposed to be a girl.
That's true.
I remember, did Mum ever tell you the day I found out you were a boy? Oh my gosh. So I would have obviously been 7. And we had the neighbors. Mum was really good friends with them. And I don't know why she thought I was like unable to spell. So she was pregnant and she had found out that you were a boy. So we were down there because their daughter was like my best friend. We used to play together and stuff. And she says to the mum, I'm having an MALE. She's thinking she's smart, not spelling like boy. So she spelled out male. Obviously, I knew what male was. I like started screaming and crying, and I ran home and I just cried and cried and cried. And I was like, you were supposed to give me a sister. And she's like, I was trying to console me. So I was like, obviously ran after me, tried to console me. And I was like, that ruined me. I was like, how? All I wanted in this life was a sister, and you gave me another brother. And look here.
Disappointment more than one way. So.
Yeah, way more than one. But that's probably an insecurity that's followed me into adulthood. Not so much now.
An insecurity of you not having sisters?
Yeah.
Why would that be an insecurity?
An insecurity of like not having that relationship. That that sisterly relationship. I don't know. I've spoken to people who have sisters, and sometimes they're like, "Yeah, I think you're overthinking it. It's not as good as you're making it out to be." But I think just having that bond with that person, and so as a result, growing up, I tried to find that in people a lot, and in friendships. And I know this was always going to be a conversation that came up because I think you and we could write a book on friendships, the two of us. So because I didn't have a sister, I think that's what stemmed the friendship insecurities. So yeah, growing up, friendships was a weird one. Hey, I have friends to this day that I love with my whole life that I've had since I was 5 years old. But along the way, there's been a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
I have friends that I've met recently that I treat as sisters, and I have friends that I've known for not as long. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like you want to ask me something about that friendship thing.
I want to ask you.
I don't know. I feel like it's something that you're interested in.
Well, we've both been through quite a bit with friendships, like negatives, and I think in recent times positives. Mine's actually, I think, more recent, but yours is like past few years. I don't know how long.
The positives. Yeah, but the positives were my choice.
I don't know what that means.
It means when you choose who's in your life, then it's positive. Right. When you choose to say, no, I'm done. When you choose to accept that, you know what, maybe people don't treat me to the same level I treat them, but if there's someone that I'm willing to have in my life, then I'll still do that. So, I don't know, there was this saying, it was like, actually I can't remember, it was something like, don't like jump over oceans for people who wouldn't jump over puddles for you, or something like that. And I used to have that idea that like I'm not going to go above and beyond for people who won't do the same for me. And then I kind of paused and learnt and was, I guess, convicted that, well, maybe if I want this person in my life, maybe I need to just accept that, hey, maybe we're not going to be on the same level, but I'm going to still make the effort to talk to you, and I'm still going to make the effort to reach out because I want you in my life, because I've reflected on who you are, and I want you to be part of my life in whatever capacity. If it's someone who I've reflected on and I said I'm happy to have a acquaintance-like relationship with, then that's fine. And that's fine. I don't have to hold on to the fact that we've been friends for 30 years. That's okay. I'm happy to have that type of relationship with you. But if it's somebody who I actually deem to be valuable in my life, I think regardless of what they do, I can only control what I do. So that was a big change for me. So that's what I mean. It was my choice, because people like, you can't have expectations from people. Well, I can set the expectations I'm willing to accept.
Mm.
I don't have to accept abuse. That's an expectation. I expect that you don't abuse me. So that's an expectation. I don't have to, but I also don't have to accept that you're going to call me every single day and give me updates on every single moment of your life or whatever it is. But I have to accept that I'm willing to give you this much and understand that I may receive less or more or whatever it may be. Yeah, I think that once I was able to like let go of this idea that I needed someone to be my sister, things changed a lot. And that was a long process to get to that point. Like I actually went to like a psychologist to help me get to that point where it was like she had sort of described it as like I've created these like phantom sisters in my friends, and I've set these expectations that my friends are going to fill this phantom sister role. I think once I realized that and gave the expectation as it was meant to be, then it was better.
Mm. It's interesting because I've always seen you and mum as like sort of sisters in a way,
Yeah, for sure.
and maybe like I don't know, maybe she was trying to fill that role that she knew that you missed, but obviously she couldn't because
She's my mom.
yeah, like 25 years older than you,
21.
20
21.
21 years older than you, whatever. So
yeah,
yeah,
definitely. But mum was still my mum. Mum was still had those, you know, rules
yeah,
and stuff. Like I think, yeah, friendships has been interesting, and I don't know. Like I said, I have.
feel like there's a lot that you are
no,
afraid to share or something.
no, it's not so much that I'm afraid to share. There's a lot of stories that I probably shouldn't share, but yeah.
How about I create a scenario? Because I don't know what these stories that you're talking about. I'll create a scenario, and I want to ask you how would you have dealt with it, or how would you forgive, or whatever it is. I can't even think of a scenario, but let's say you're pouring into someone, you're being a friend, or you are maybe you're being a sister to them because that's what you were after, and you were treating them like your own sister. So you were, I don't know, talking to them constantly and giving a lot of time to them and sacrificing a lot for them, while they weren't. Maybe to begin with, they were giving you a lot, so they sort of dragged you in, and that's why you started giving a lot. But then it's sort of like just sort of fizzled out. How would you respond to that? Like, or like if,
Like I
yeah,
said, it depends on like my own assessment of is this person someone who I will what will be valuable to me in life, not for me to get something out of them, but someone who I can share life with. If that's someone, then I can only do so much. You know what I mean? Like I can reach out, I can express how I feel, but I'm never going to push it. At the end of the day, people are busy. People have their own lives. People are selfish. Sometimes it's justified, sometimes it's not. Back then, I would have had a meltdown, proper meltdown. I would have cried and screamed and probably called 1,000 times. Now I'm like, they'll reach out when they need me or when they want to or when the time's right. I don't know what's going on with them, but all I can do is let them know that I'm here and ready. And yeah, I feel like we've really jumped around.
right, that's fine. That's a Jonah in the pod. Yeah, look, I think obviously if you haven't picked up what we're putting down, friendships for both of us have been tough. I think we both dealt with it very differently at an early age, but we sort of came to the same, maybe same conclusion or same outcome. So at the beginning, for me, it was like it was just like it is what it is. Obviously, it hurts. Like my outside appearance would be like it is what it is. I'll just do whatever I'm doing on my own. I just wouldn't care about anything. But that was like it sucked because like I wanted to have someone I could rely on, or like even in I don't know, enjoy video games with, something like that.
Yeah.
And I did have that, but sometimes I didn't, sometimes I did. But I never had like that, like where you have like conversations of like,
Oh, I know. I had those conversations.
yeah.
I had those fights. I had all of those things.
I never had anything. So me and my friendships were like, I call it like entertainment friends, where it's
Yeah.
like you're literally just there for like entertainment. And
Yeah. No, I get that. I think that a lot of people have friends like that
mm,
where that's good enough for them. That it's just people to hang out with and people to talk with and people to socialize with. And that's fine. I have those friends,
mm,
but they're not the ones that I'm like talking about. I'm talking about the people who like seed into my life and I seed into their
yeah.
life. Um,
So
the people who grow with me and help me grow.
that was like I'm trying to think back now. I'm like, I don't remember any of those. Maybe it's different for a guy to have that, but until Darian, I don't remember. But nowadays, I think as I become more of a man and like I'm willing to talk up, it's like even there's a friend that I've had for so long. Now it's like we'll have good conversations. Um, and it might just be me forcing it or whatever it is, but it's needed. Like it's needed from both our ends. And it's like I still care about this guy, I still love this guy, even though there's been a lot that's happened between us, like friendships. But it was actually you, like recently. Like, do
Yeah,
you remember?
I know who you're talking about
Yeah,
because I was
obviously.
gonna mention something like sometimes you just need to keep being the friend
Yeah.
because sometimes they just need it, even if they're not giving back an inch.
Mm.
You still just need to persist.
Yeah. So you recently, we were on the way to worship practice or something. Not that I do worship, but oh, hey, Jeanette plays drums. Everyone, I always say that. Um, Jeanette plays drums on the AV team. So we're off to worship practice on the way back, and we're just talking like I don't know, like it's I don't know, like I want to do something, but it's like I've been trying for my whole life. So what do I do? Like if it feels like it's a repetitive thing, you just like you got to keep doing it, and then you just like just do it. Like reach out, do
Yeah.
whatever it is.
there
Yeah.
there are moments and there are people in your lives where you have to be available, like even if it's draining to constantly reach out, you
Mm.
just have to be there because you don't know what that could mean to them. You don't know when they might need you. um, like I said, I've seen a lot of badness and I've seen a lot of people do bad things to themselves, and you just want to know you've done everything you can.
Yeah.
um,
I think it's a different thing. I think for us, we especially our family. I think we're very
Oversharers.
we're oversharers, but we're like if something is wrong, then we sort of know that it's wrong, or we are willing to share that something's wrong, whatever it is. But with other people, we don't understand. Like humans don't understand that how other humans work, especially when they're young and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's like with my friend, it wasn't that he didn't care about me or like love me or
100%.
anything, because I know he does and I know he did. And
I know he does.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And recently we had the conversation. He's like, yeah, and it was just like it's like back in the day I was hurt and everything, and I think you probably have felt the same thing. But I don't. Again, there are those entertainment friends that to me aren't that important. That's,
They've got a
yeah,
purpose.
they got a purpose, but like they're there. But having someone that has been in my life for forever that I've poured into or tried to at least like my whole life, and they've actually like looking back, they've actually done a lot in my life positively, but they have done stuff negatively, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's actually understanding that that negativity isn't coming from place of
It's
malice or
got
like
nothing to do with
yeah, it
you.
has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
It's just things that are going on in their lives, things that um, I guess they don't know how to deal with or whatever it is. Yeah, it's it's interesting, and I think if you have a friend, just sort of don't give up, but also understand that who your friends are. Like,
I think that's it. You have to know who they are.
yeah, I don't know. It's
Because
a
some
weird
people are
dynamic.
fine. Some people don't need you, and that's okay.
Mm.
But there are people who are struggling,
Yeah.
and as long as you know that you're there for them, and they know that you're there for them, I guess that's all we can do.
And people, there are friendships that will be malicious and like will
Yeah,
talk trash about.
those ones you cut out.
Yeah, those are the ones that yeah, you're just gonna get abused and abused and abused if you
Yeah,
stay in those
that's
ones.
different. And I think as you get older, you realize your circle will get smaller and deeper.
Mm.
Yeah, friendship is a good one. It's an interesting one because it makes such a big impact on who we are as people. And um, yeah, as I get older, I realize that the people that I want to be in my life are people that I want to be able to support, and also I know who will support me, whatever happens. But I still have friends that I have socially. I like that. Like, it's fine.
Mm.
But
Yeah, of
you
course,
don't want to
yeah.
have people in your life that are malicious.
Yeah.
That's probably the one thing. People who put you down or talk negatively about you, here's my one little tip. If you have someone who talks to you about other people, they are definitely talking to other people about you.
Mm.
So those kind of people, like, I'm very wary about.
I think that's more like it happens in men's circles, but I think it's
Yeah,
much big thing in women's circles.
definitely. So yeah, that's been a big chunk of my childhood into adult life, is the insecurities relating to friendships. I think now it's good. I have really good people around me. I understand the relationships I have with different people that meant something to me more, that maybe not so much anymore, but not in a bad way. Like, I would still be,
You're still in touch with them.
yeah.
So, yeah, that happens.
So yeah, that's something that I battled with God a lot about. The friendships and why certain people were in my life and why were they.
Did you ever struggle with forgiveness?
Of my friends?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no. I don't think I needed to forgive my friends. I don't think
It wasn't because it.
I don't think it was them.
Okay, so it wasn't like a malicious thing from them.
There were moments of that, but we were young and dumb.
Mm.
I think that a lot of it was my own insecurities and my own failed expectations, just wrong. And I think once I sort of processed a lot of that, then things got better. Yeah.
I didn't even. I know this is a bit of a tangent, but we didn't even mention the mugs.
What mugs?
Because there's two of the same mugs.
Oh, has this one not appeared yet?
No.
Look, apparently I'm not a very special guest.
So yeah, we have this one and this one, and they're both Jonah and the Pod mugs. Anyway, we should have done an intro, but we just.
Yeah. What else? There's so much to talk about.
Yeah. Do you think there has been a actually yeah, has there been like
yes
a time that, because I've seen a massive I haven't told you this, but I've seen a massive change in who you are as.
Yeah, you tried to put it on Ralph and tell him he's the one who's fixed me.
Did I say that? Oh.
You're like,
No.
thanks for like.
I didn't say that. No, like that was he obviously helped you.
Yeah, well,
but I'm saying even before
there's
marriage,
there's a lot of things that have changed.
like for instance, you say that you were this angry thingy.
Yeah.
You were this angry thing, but then now I see you're not.
Yeah, that's just a God change there. There's not much to that story. I just decided I can't be that person. I can't be an angry person. It's funny, like, I think I'm like the furthest from angry now. You probably will never see me angry. I've been angry twice at work, and I would like to say it was justified righteous anger. Just not so much because of what someone has done, but because of who they hurt or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a God thing. I knew where the anger was stemming from when I was younger, and that situation didn't change for a long time. But my reaction to that situation had to change. I think I replaced it with hurt more than I did with anger. But it just meant that in general, even now, like in life, in marriage, and whatever, I don't let anger. It's not a part of me. It's not even like I was an angry person and like it lingers and I can feel it behind me and I have to hold it down. Like it just doesn't exist anymore. And that doesn't happen unless God intervenes.
Yeah,
you can't just be something one day and not the next day without some sort of intervention.
So it was like just like a sort of like overnight. Like,
yeah, it was just gone. I just when I think when Anthony said that to me, I was like, I can't be this person. God, you have to take that away from me, because there are certain things that like, yeah, I can't be, and that was one of them. And I don't know. I think that you guys would even notice that, like, as in not now, obviously, like we're adults, but when I was younger, like you would have probably noticed that there was a shift, in terms of anger. I think so. It kind of ties along. You want to get into it?
I've been waiting for this.
I feel like there are more things to talk about, but yeah, we'll talk about this. Because
I don't even know what you're talking about.
You do.
Okay.
Because you asked me if we were gonna.
Okay, I can't remember. But
I don't know. So obviously, like anger and whatnot stemmed from like childhood trauma, and a lot of that lingered into adulthood. That trauma, like I said, turned into hurt. A lot of unknown, a lot of confusion, a lot of just like refusing to communicate. I think that was a big thing. Hey, there was just no communication. Anyway, so there was a person in my life that I had no relationship with. By no, I mean 0 relationship with. And a significant person in my life. And
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like we could say it.
I don't know. I think everyone would know, but I just worry if he's going to watch it.
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm not going to do it.
Everyone knows anyway.
Everyone knows what I'm talking about. You put 2 and 2 together. We're talking about family. Anyway, so yeah, we had no relationship. There was a lot of stereotypes growing up, expectations of me as a female. I don't know where the hurt came from. We actually had that conversation just before I got married, and I was like, "What's the problem?" And he was like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, what's the problem with you?" And I was like, "I don't know." How have we held on to like 30 years of this, and neither of us know what the problem is? But it was bad. It was really bad, like really, really bad.
I think what happened. Maybe you're gonna get into it. I'll let you speak because I was gonna.
As
share,
in the resolution.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
like the start of the resolution.
Yeah, no, I know what the start of the resolution is, but well, that was sort of the start of the severe downfall.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
But just growing up in general, like I couldn't do anything right. I think, I don't think I could ever do anything right. And I just always felt like I was unloved. I think this is yeah, damn it.
What?
I'm gonna get emotional.
That's okay. The first person to cry on the pod.
Because I'm such a sook. See, people don't know this. People think I'm just like heartless and harsh and whatever. By saying this, it's gonna expose who the person is, obviously. But I think God replaced that position very well. Oof.
Look, first tears. Look, I might start there. But yeah. I must start tearing up soon. So we'll see how it goes.
It's getting hot. I think a lot of my Christian life you suck.
It's fine.
I think it was strengthened by this idea of the Father. Surprise. Yeah. I think that's where I always held my relationship with God to that understanding. Which is why, like, even though things were really hard with he who shall not be named. By the way, he's a good guy and we're all good now, but
Yeah.
it was just me. We just clashed.
Stuff happens like this.
Yeah.
And I was literally saying to Mom, I was like, there's so many positives that I could take from him that I just never did, which I wish I did.
Yeah. Look, even during the years, and if anyone would talk to me about it, because a lot of I've never been really shy. I used to be really shy about it, and then I became very open about it. And the thing was, I used to say that he's actually a really good person, and he's so generous and so loving and whatever. Even just as I was like walking up here, or hobbling up here, he's like, "Do you want eggs?" Like, because he knows that Ralph loves eggs. So he's like, "I've got 12 for you." Like, just he's a very giving man. Anyway, that's not the point. So he's a good man, but we just didn't get on. Anyway, so yeah, back to the fact that there was this idea of, like, you know, God being my father, and that just something I clung to. I remember I was at like a leadership camp or something at school. Maybe it was prefect camp or leadership. I can't remember what it was.
Either, so
yeah, it was one of them. And I remember I just like had this, I don't know if it was a song, it's always the songs that get me, but I don't even remember which song it was, but it was all about God being our father. And I just had I remember looking down and seeing a puddle underneath me, like as if I had poured a glass of water on the floor just from my tears, because I just broke down. And I was like, whoa, I do have a father who loves me. Yeah, that was those moments in life, just knowing. Even now, like, it's so funny when I've been watching The Chosen, and like Jesus will like hug somebody.
That's what it felt like.
That's what it felt like in that moment that I was crying. Literally, I just felt like I was being hugged and being like, it's okay, I'm here. Anyway, so that's what got me through it up until the downfall, the real big downfall. So I'm not going to go into any details about this, by the way. I'll just
that's
fine.
There was just this.
There was a situation, a bad situation, and things exploded to a level, because the thing was, we would never fight. Never. We never argued. We never fought. We never had like headbutts. Like, never. Anyway, in this situation, there was an explosion.
Not a literal one, but
not a literal explosion, but an explosion of the
just
of
chaos.
the mind, chaos. Anyway, from that explosion, and for 10 months, I'll say, we didn't say a word to each other. Not a hello, not a goodbye, not a single word. We were like a month out of our wedding. We were about to get married. We hadn't spoken to each other. It was just crazy. We sat down before the wedding and tried to like have a resolution, and that's when we realized that neither of us knew what the problem was, and that resolution didn't happen on that night. We sort of still ended up, I don't know, things ended up bubbling up a bit. And then anyway, we just left it. I was like, whatever, this is never going to get resolved. I'm just going to
have to deal with it.
I'm going to have to get, no, I was at the point where I'm like, I'm getting married. I'm starting my new family, and see you later. Nice knowing you, mate. Like, I'll catch you. that's where I was. I was like, good luck to him if he thinks that once I'm out of his house, I'll have anything to do with him.
Mm.
Anyway, so I'm at work one evening and I try to call Ralph just randomly, as I would, just to check in. And he doesn't answer. And I get a message like a minute later saying, I'll call you soon. I'm on the phone with your dad. I was like, what? I just replied back saying, literally, I was like, what? Mind you, like, Ralph and Dad didn't have like a super close relationship. Ralph was just always defending me, supporting me. Whatever I was doing, he would copy really. Anyway, I remember I went into like, we have this like storage room, but like not storage room, but storage space. And there was like an old chair, like an office chair. And I sat on that chair for like 45 minutes to an hour. I just sat there. I didn't move. I just sat there and I was like praying. I was like, God, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know how this has happened. I don't know if things are bad, if things are good, what is happening. I'm like, I was just praying and praying and praying and like just anxious. And I'm not generally a super anxious person. And I was like super anxious. Anyway, and like an hour passes or whatever. And I get like a text message or something. It's like, it's all good. And I was like, excuse me? No, it's not. So I call him. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, all good. I'm like, no. What do you mean all good? He's like, it's all good. We had a chat. Everything's fine. We're going to dinner tomorrow. I was like, excuse me? What do you mean you're going to dinner tomorrow? He's like, yeah, we're going to go meet up. We're going to go for a walk and then we're going to have a chat and then I'm going out to dinner with your family. I was like, what? What are you talking about? Anyway, I'm not going to go. That's their story.
Yeah.
But yeah, he intervened and he had this huge conversation with him. The next day they met up and I remember the next night I was at work again and he's messaging me like, oh, I'm about to go on a walk with your dad. And then I just don't hear from him again for like another hour or two. And the next thing you know, I get a selfie at dinner with the family and with my dad and he's sitting on a different table, like him and dad are sitting and the rest. And I'm like, what has happened? How do we go from like this to that? What did you do? And he's like, nothing. We just spoke. And I'm like I said, I'm not going to go into what the conversation was about. It's not relevant. And then after that moment, I guess we started talking again. There was apologies all round, which was a huge thing, like a big thing. The idea of asking for forgiveness and then receiving forgiveness is a huge thing. Acknowledging when you're wrong is something that I'm learning a lot about. Acknowledging when you've screwed up. Acknowledging that you've hurt somebody. Yeah, and so everything sort of turned completely. Like a full 180 from like I had no relationship with this person in my life to like now he offers me eggs. Like we have this normal relationship, I guess. If that's not the grace of God, I don't know what is. Like, and he just happened to use someone else. I don't know. I think it shifted the whole family, though.
Yeah.
I think it shifted a lot of the dynamic of the family.
Maybe.
Well, think about like.
Yeah, I mean, there's still like
there's a lot of growth that needs to happen.
But yeah, it's really cool. And I want to. So that was your perspective of the whole situation.
My perspective, yes, okay.
Like you and Ralph. You know what's funny? I always thought like it's fun. You and not you, Ralph and Dad would have always like I always said. I reckon they'd like actually get along.
They did get along.
Yeah. It was funny. But from my perspective, okay. So obviously, I knew. I didn't know everything, but obviously I can see everything that's going on and whatnot. But that time that it did blow up, I remember like the date and everything. Can I say the date?
Wasn't it like?
It was literally 1st of January.
Yeah.
1st of January 2022.
Yeah.
It's
New Year's
crazy.
Day. What a way to start the year with a bang, literally.
No, it was January 1st at night.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was going into the
it was
second.
COVID night.
Yeah.
We all had
Word
COVID.
COVID, yeah. Which I
Um,
think, to be fair, which I think heightened all
oh yeah, of
the
course.
emotions because
We had
everyone
like
was sick and
6 people.
stressed, and there was like 20 of us in the one house,
Yeah.
all with COVID.
So it was a chaotic night. I was just trying to watch football. I had 2 friends over. We're trying to watch football, and then yeah, just chaos ensued. And then that night, I slept in the lounge room. I think my friends probably stayed in my room and the spare room. Um, yeah, and I was just in the lounge room, and then from that night, I literally just got on my knees in the lounge room, and I was just started bawling my eyes out, and I just prayed. It's like I don't know what's happening, but something needs to change, and I just prayed
Yeah.
for like 30 minutes or not.
I think that year was a big year of prayer for everybody.
Yeah,
I think we were all at the point that we knew nothing else is gonna work,
mm,
and like Ralph prayed every single day, literally every day. He would pray for Dad every single day. Like I was a little bit more stubborn about it because I was hurt, but I still prayed every now and then for it. But yeah,
that was from that night. I devoted to obviously not every day because sometimes I'll miss it, whatever. But I was devoted to pray. Pray for just the situation. Pray for like the family in general. Pray for even other relationships, not just Jeanette and Dad's. Other relationships. And like I think you're right when it's like it was a massive year for prayer for our family because even Darian was telling me the other day of like he's still praying for our family. Darian was there. Put it out there.
so fun. I don't even remember seeing other people there. That's how like blinded I was in rage.
Yeah. So yeah, Darian was there, and he told me because I went up to Paul Macquarie last week, like 2 weeks ago, and he told me I'm still praying for your family, still praying, and like thanks for like appreciate it. And he's like, one of the best moments, and I'll have to ask permission from mum, but one of the greatest moments was like mum struggled to pray, um, out of I think the same situation, just because like I don't, I don't know, like just the same thing of
Out
being
of hurt.
stubborn, yeah, out of
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
stubbornness, whatever it is. But Darren was just like, let's pray for Dad, let's pray for the situation, everything. Mum struggled to do that because you have to understand that it's a lot more than
We're giving you like
yeah,
a snippet of a snippet of
yeah.
a snippet.
If this is like I don't know, if you're in mum's shoes, someone that you love with someone you love not getting along, it's very tough. And yeah, there's a lot
Yeah,
of
anyway, that's a whole
yeah.
different thing.
So yeah, even just that, and when I tell you like I was terrified for your wedding,
Whew.
and I'm sure you were as well. Like I was,
Yeah.
yeah, I was just terrified. I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
How good was it? But we walked down the aisle together.
Yeah.
No one would have thought that was gonna happen.
Yeah, it was. I can't put it to words because I'm like, there is literally no way on earth that this ever happened. Like, first of all, like the relationship, obviously, it's never going to be 100%. Like, I mean, anyone's relationship's never going to be 100%. But the way it just like sort of flipped, it's like it felt like an overnight thing.
Yeah. Seems like that happens a bit with me.
Yeah, it was just crazy. And it literal like I say this to anyone that I speak to about the situation. It's a literally a miracle. Like
It's 100% a miracle.
because I'm like, there's no way. And I know Ralph was used and stuff, but I'm like, there's no way this happens without God because yeah, I don't know. It's just crazy. And the things that I've seen since then, like since just praying, since that sort of 10-month period, I didn't know. I just saw the outcome. I didn't see the in between. I was in the background just praying. Um, but then I think leading up to your wedding, he had so much care for you guys. like
Yeah.
the month leading.
Well,
There was
the whole thing with his mum dying, like
yeah,
a week and a half before the wedding, and he was like, "You're still my priority."
yeah,
Like that's
yeah. Like
wild.
you don't actually know this, but there was So for context, our grandmother passed away. Like was it 2 weeks before?
Less,
Something
like
like
maybe 10 days or something.
yeah, just really um just before the wedding, and it's tough because my dad's mom, like
And he's obsessed with her.
yeah,
He loves her so
yeah,
much.
like,
Yeah.
and it was hard because obviously Jeanette and Ralph had to do a lot in the home and for the wedding at home, and they were up here a lot. Like they just it was just like a chaotic time because they had to do wedding stuff because it was 10 days away, but also there's a lot of like mourning and struggles from my dad, but also the rest of the family. But the way my dad would just sacrifice, like there
He
was
almost
one,
sacrificed his morning.
yeah, literally. But there was one night that, like, I think you guys were doing wedding stuff, like probably the cards, I think maybe I meant the whatever it was, I don't know. And he just pulls me. He's just like, Jonah, can we just go on a walk? Because obviously his mom just passed away. Can we just go on a walk? And we walked, we prayed. Um, and we get back and he's like, Jonah, I can't, like, can we go and just pray? Because he didn't want to, because he's like, he told me he's struggling to see, like, my mom just passed away. They're literally having the funeral right now. And he's struggling to see, like, I don't know, just we're preparing for a wedding. It's tough for him.
Yeah, it was a very awkward, weird time.
Yeah,
A
very
weird,
weird
weird
time.
time for everybody because things had to get done, but at the same time,
And just seeing that is just crazy. Like the sudden change of, like, just love and care for his
yeah,
daughter and his future son-in-law. Like it's crazy, and there's nothing that we can sort of take. What's the word? Like it's not on us. It's
100%.
not. What's the word for it? It's such a simple word. I can't remember. Anyway, I can't remember what it is. Uh, yeah, it's just absolutely crazy, and just honestly, my dad probably enjoyed the wedding more than anyone.
No, yeah.
Like I have like no words, and like Jeanette's speech made everyone cry. Like her just exposing a
I
lot of
think I think it was more the fact that a lot of people knew the issues and
yeah.
hardship that I'd gone through, and it was probably the first time anyone had seen me speak highly of my dad.
Yeah,
Not speak highly, but
like
like thank him and
actually to
acknowledge
him as well.
him
Yeah.
and sort of show the world that hey, things have changed.
Mm.
There's been a miracle here.
And yeah, and it's like honestly, one of my, like, last year was so good for a year, of a year for me. Like I found a church like this, like a fantastic church that is, I don't know, just so many blessings from the church. I like God answers so many different prayers, but out of the whole year, even though it has like not much to do with me,
But it does.
it does, yeah, obviously, like it's my family, but that
Yeah, but
was
it's not as personal for you.
yeah, that was the greatest thing that has happened to me.
Well, it was 30 years in the making.
Yeah, literally, like, and I don't know, it's just insane. And this podcast is it's been very, I guess, exposing in a way, like, but very vulnerable,
Wow,
open.
shock horror. Our family's overexposing. I
No,
didn't
but
expect anything less.
I think it's good because it's not about what happened. It's not about the 30 years. This 30 years, bro, Moses was in a what's it called, in a desert for 40 years, and it wasn't about the walking in the desert. It was about the outcome,
100%. Yeah.
and that's what it is with the
Yeah.
relationship, and obviously it's still growing, still.
Yeah.
But the fact that, like, I saw Jeanette and Dad hug for the first time.
Probably ever.
It was crazy. I saw my dad enjoy a wedding, let alone Jeanette's wedding. It was crazy. Like, it's to see Jeanette sort of show gratitude to my dad is crazy. To see the sacrifice from both ends.
Yeah.
It was crazy, and it's not anything that from us. It's not
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Just a side note about us being oversharers. If I could say something, I think that's actually a really good thing.
Yeah.
And I
okay.
think people like are so scared to be vulnerable. Like, hey, listen, nothing that you've gone through, someone else hasn't. Like, people go through things in life. Just be open. What are you scared of? Judgment. If you're worried about judgment, then you're talking to the wrong people. Like,
the only thing I would be wary of is oversharing about other people.
oh no, I'm not
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
talking
I'm
about
just-
your own struggles.
yeah.
I'm not talking about like telling stories. I'm talking about like in general. Like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm good. Like, no, like, no, I'm actually suffering, or I'm actually trying to deal with this. Like, just be open.
Like, yeah,
You don't understand how much like
it
things
helps.
will improve if you're just willing to be honest.
It doesn't even just help you; it helps
The
like the
person,
person,
100%.
everyone. I would say this is something I need to learn, and I'm sort of learning, is uh, be a bit like cautious with who you're sharing it to.
Yeah, of course, that comes with there's
Yeah,
wisdom in that. There's
yeah,
wisdom
that's
in
it.
like knowing. That's why I said like you don't just tell. You know, if you're telling us someone who's going to be judgmental or going to do the wrong thing with that information, then it's the wrong person.
Yeah,
But being wise with who you speak to, but also being willing to be open and to be vulnerable. It's a good thing.
it's a game changer.
It's actually a game changer.
Yeah.
You will see your relationships grow. You want to talk about friendships? Get vulnerable with your friends.
Yeah.
Then see your relationship change.
Yeah. That I think that's how I've had 1 year friendships from coming to this church, but it feels like lifetime. Like we would die for each other, we'd live for each other, and it's because we're me and
Both parties are
yeah,
open and
yeah,
vulnerable.
it's just open and vulnerable, and
Who wants to be friends with someone who's unwilling to share their lives with you?
yeah,
And it needs to happen. You need to be able to share your life with people. Life's hard enough. I don't want to do it by myself.
yeah, for sure. And there are some things that I guess like your parents won't be able to help you through, or your siblings won't be, or whatever it is. I like it when you went full circle.
Oh, maybe it wasn't as chaotic as we thought. It's an interesting one. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, like another different topic, but I can't remember what it was. Is there anything else you want to talk about with?
I would just say if you're in a situation that feels like this is to I guess us and whoever's watching, if you're ever in a situation that feels like impossible, or maybe it's a relationship with your dad or your mom or your siblings or a friend, whatever it is, don't give up. Like
100%.
Put in the effort first and foremost. And I mean, Jeanette said there was no communication. And sometimes it's still like even in my life with friendships or yeah, like talk to them and communicate and whatnot. Yeah, just don't give up. Start praying. Genuinely start praying. Grab whoever you want to pray for you to pray for you. Be vulnerable to them. Be open. Be like, this is what's happening. Or
I think that's what changed a lot in this last year as well. Like in the last year that it was all happening, was that I stopped trying to hide it. And I was like, I'm going through this situation and I'm struggling with it. It was the one thing that I used to always like sort of hold back on, because I didn't want people to have a bad idea about him, because like we said earlier, he's a good man and he's good to people, and it was just that we happened to have a bad relationship. And that happens. Like, just because you have a bad relationship doesn't make you a bad person. But in that last year I became more vulnerable with the people who are important to me, and I exposed the struggles and you know, prayed for it, and that all made a big difference.
People are so understanding. Like the right people.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's crazy. Is there anything that you want to go on that?
About that topic? No, I think that's enough. We've exposed enough today about our family.
You said you had another topic you want to talk about. Should we take the Polaroid now, or do you want to wait a bit?
I can't remember what the topic was. What are we speaking about? We spoke about friends. We spoke about family. Is there any questions you want to ask me?
How
to find a wife?
it took you a while. But, do you have any
Do
questions?
you want me to talk to you about marriage?
Oh yeah, that is actually something. You're newly married.
I am.
Married for 9 months.
9 months, I think.
That's enough time for a baby.
Mm. No,
Guys, everyone, Jeanette's pregnant.
Oh my
I'm
god.
joking.
Are you going to use that as the
I'm joking.
teaser?
I'll use that as a teaser.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone's gonna be like, "What?"
Ralph's going to be like, what?
No, there's actually some good content for the teasers. Start crying.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's talk about marriage.
Sorry.
Marriage is fun. I think, look, I'm not going to go full into it, but I think if I've learned one thing about marriage, or actually I'll say two things. One thing is just in general in all relationships, but especially once you're living with someone, is compromise. And part of that compromise, it leads into point two, is picking your battles. I think it's so easy for us to just live our own lives, and then when you have to live with somebody, you just want to do things your way. And I think you choose what's worth it, what's worth fighting over. The fight doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It just means we're going to discuss this, and we might get a bit heated about it, but we're going to get to a resolution. But picking your battles is a huge thing, and then being willing to compromise on things maybe that you're a bit stubborn about. Being aware of what does that person need from me. What is it going to take for me to resolve this? Like I said earlier about the whole forgiveness thing, I think for me, it's not so much about forgiving. It's about asking for forgiveness and owning up to the errors that I make and the fact that, I hurt somebody. No, marriage is good. I think for those people who want to get married or are looking for relationships, there's a lot of factors that got me to that point. I wasn't actively looking for a relationship, but I had prayed a lot for my husband from a very, very long time ago, from a young age.
That's such a massive point.
Yeah, a long time. I prayed for my husband. I wasn't praying to find a husband. That's a really important thing to note, because I had no interest in getting married. But I just prayed for whoever that person was, and that it would be even as simple as like, God, like I pray for my husband, whatever he's doing now. I hope that he's safe. I hope that he's learning and growing and whatever it was. But I was praying for a person who I didn't know, but I knew existed. I had things in mind about what I wanted. I definitely didn't want an Arab guy. But I was thinking about it today. Like, there were certain things that I wanted, like the fact that I didn't want a Lebanese guy. But it was like God said, all right, how about I just give you all the personality things and you just deal with the fact that he's Lebanese. And I was like, and then it ended up being, well, actually, I'm glad I'm with a guy who's got the same culture and understanding and background as me. Not necessarily that it has to be like that, but I like that as well. Something I thought I didn't like, but now I do like. I don't know. Pray for your future spouse. Pray for yourself to be ready for that person. And then when you're in that relationship, don't stop praying. Like, we pray every night. We have to. It's like part of the good night ritual, because you want to, I don't know, it binds you together. If you're looking, work on yourself as well. I think that's a huge thing. Like I said, I'd seen the world, I'd traveled the world, I'd exposed myself to so much. I knew what I wanted in life. I knew what I didn't want. I didn't live in a bubble. Like, I don't even know if at any point I lived in a bubble, because it wasn't my lifestyle. And I just, it just allowed me to know what God was preparing for me. That's why I was just easy with Ralph. It just made sense really easily, because I knew what I what I needed for myself because I knew myself.
It's probably like perfect timing. You learning to sort of notice when you're wrong and ask for forgiveness, because in relationship or like when you become a parent, whatever it is, it's like that's super important.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's massive.
It's difficult. It's so difficult owning up to your mistake because sometimes you think you are right and you don't think that you've done something wrong. I remember I used to have this like, it's actually funny going back to the friends thing, flicking back. I used to be like, you hurt me in this way. And they would say, yeah, but I didn't mean to hurt you, or my intention was never to hurt you, or whatever. Like, but that doesn't take away the fact that I was hurt. Right? Like, I understand that your intention wasn't to hurt me, or maybe you think what you did shouldn't have hurt me, but it doesn't take away the fact that I'm hurt. And I'm seeing that now so much in like marriage because we're like together constantly. That sometimes I'll do things and my intention is not to hurt. I think I'm doing the right thing. I can't maybe see an error in what I did, but what I did hurt you. And if not anything, I have to apologize for the fact that you were hurt by me.
Yeah.
Regardless of what my actions were.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, if you do, like, if you're in the other situation of like you have hurt someone or whatever, like even if you don't think you've done anything wrong, or like, I think it's still the right thing to do, just to sort of apologize, unless you actually know that you've done right.
No, but it's not that. It's like two separate things. It's like your action may have been right or wrong, but the reaction is someone was hurt. So I'm apologizing for the fact that you were hurt.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
that's what I was trying to get at. Then I started thinking, like, what if you actually done something
no,
right?
when you've done something wrong, it's a different story. I think sometimes like it can be so small that you're like, it's such a small thing. Like, why are we? And this is not just in like marriages; this is in just relationships. Why are you getting upset over a small thing? But it's not this. It's not the small thing that they're upset. It's upset. They're upset because you hurt them, and they didn't think that they could be hurt by you, or they shouldn't be hurt by you.
Yeah.
It's people are more upset by, I think, because they've been hurt by somebody they love, rather than what's caused that hurt. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, if you put it in like a Jesus us situation, or God us, I feel like maybe God is hurt because when we sin, God isn't hurt by the sin as much as he's hurt by the fact that
we've done it.
We've hurt him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, he's greater than any sin. It's the fact that we are sort of turning against him and turning away from him at that time, and being like, God, I don't need you. I need this sin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more the fact that we've hurt him rather than done. And I think that's the same in any relationship. It's not so much about your action. Like, that's obviously a factor, depending on what it is. It's more about the fact that you hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is hurt someone you love.
I want to say the forgiveness in both. You say you don't have, like, you don't have many times to, like, the way you need to forgive. That's what you said, right?
What?
Like with friendships, there wasn't many times that you needed to forgive. Like,
no, I think maybe internally, but not so much like.
There wasn't like certain situations.
No, I think it was more just like being able to forgive them for being bad friends, even if they maybe don't think they were.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So I've had like specific moments. I've had the same thing as, like, just in general. Something for me that helped with forgiveness. Something helped massively, and I think if you have done something against me, you'll feel that forgiveness. Hopefully, God willing. Is I at a fairly young age, I clicked that the things that have been done to me, or that whoever's doing to me, whatever it is so much smaller than anything that I've done to God.
100%. Yeah.
So when I see that, I'm like, okay, look, they may have done this thing, but I've done this thing.
Yeah.
And God is like, look, you've done it, but now it's like, I still love you. I still care for you. Now it's just time. Our relationship's still going to grow. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's crazy. Like, so
Yeah.
if that's a model that I'm trying to take into my life.
It's the whole parable, right, of the master who like forgives the debt of the
Yeah.
servant, but then he doesn't forgive. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same thing.
Do you want to explain that?
I butchered it.
I'll explain. So just very quickly, just in case no one knows. Not yeah. There was a master and a servant, and the servant had a debt to pay to the master. I don't know if it was servant and master, but there was a guy in charge, and
Yeah, there's like there's rank. There's
yeah.
above, like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's all rank
The
wise.
guy high rank had the low rank had a debt to pay to the high rank, and then the high rank, and it was a lot of money, like a lot of money. And then the high rank was like, "Look, just leave it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I know you're struggling. Don't worry about it." And then the guy with the guy just under the highest rank had someone underneath him, and that guy underneath him had a small debt, like a really small debt to pay to the guy that was in the middle. But the guy in the middle did not.
Forgive the guy's debt.
Yeah, it was just like, no, you gotta pay me, and you gotta pay more every day you miss it. I think something like that.
It's the same. We like that with people, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's exactly right.
Yeah.
We don't want to be that middle guy. We want to be the big guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good image. Anyway, sorry.
I don't know what else.
Oh, we can take the Polaroid now. Then.
Okay.
How long are we going for? An hour and 20 minutes. Not too shabs. Obviously, you know what this is.
Yeah.
Polaroid camera. You can see them behind you. Oh wait, I didn't. Oh, you did put them up. The other ones. Yeah. The image sides on that pin actually as well. We should have done this later, but that's okay. Yeah, so we just take a Polaroid and then she signs it, and then.
How do I see what it looks like?
That's no way. Unless you have your eye in the thing. There's
No,
actually
but you know how sometimes they have a little mirror.
The mirror is that, I think, or something.
Oh wow. I can't move.
I can move wherever you want me to do.
Wait, I can try and stand up, but I need the crutches.
Oh yeah. By the way, I don't know if you can see in the main camera, but Jeanette has a broken foot.
We spoke about it already.
I know. Just.
I can't get up.
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Come sit over here.
Okay. Like here.
Yeah, I guess. Where's the button? Is the red one? I have no idea. Ready? Do you reckon you're in it? Okay. Oh, what the heck? Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
Oh.
Into the cupboard it goes. Oh,
are you sure it needs to be in the dark? Every time you say that on the thing, I'm like, I feel like that's fake news.
I'm pretty sure. We'll see.
Anyway, do you have questions for your older, wiser sister?
I wouldn't say wiser.
Probably not, to be honest. Oh, I need this back.
You
Yeah,
need the mic back.
Definitely not wiser.
No, of course, you're wiser. Any questions? I think we touched on traveling a little bit.
Do it.
Yeah.
I've got 2 trips planned already this year.
So what are the, I guess apart from the enjoyment, what is the benefit of traveling?
So many things, okay. Where is that? On a like just a fun level, it's like you just get to experience different foods, different people, different cultures. Like that's so fun. Yeah. On a sort of building yourself level, you have to learn how to travel. You have to learn how to catch trains and buses and read timetables in different languages and get to hotels and communicate with people who don't necessarily speak English or whatever the case may be. You have to deal with hardships, right? Like one of the trips I went on, if you could name a problem, it happened to us. So we had, like me and my best friend, her passport was stolen, our cards, cash, luggage was gone missing. We had people like steal from us from the ATM. We got sick. She had pneumonia. She had whooping cough. Like it happened to us. It's just fun. Like it just makes the trip stressful but exciting. You push yourself to different limits. You push yourself into really uncomfortable positions. I'm not just talking about like a nice relaxing holiday by the beach somewhere where you sit and don't move. I'm talking about like go see the world.
It's funny because that's what I would do first and foremost. But with Ralph, I remember because I wasn't here when everyone was getting to know Ralph. Like I was in Port Macquarie, so when Ralph came, so I got to know him a bit later. But one of the conversations we had was about traveling and like, oh, where have you been? And he's like, been in these places. He's traveled a lot as well.
He's lived in like I don't know, 4 or 5 different countries. Yeah.
So he's traveled all over the place, and he's like, I would never just go for a holiday, just sit. Like I'm gonna go do something.
Yeah.
Like put myself in uncomfortable situations and all that stuff.
Depending on how this foot goes, we've got our honeymoon 1 year delayed planned. We're planning on doing like a bit of a Machu Picchu, which is like a bit of a hike, and we're going to South America and Central America and North America. So
that's
doing,
cool.
And yeah, depending on how this foot goes, going to Cambodia and Vietnam with Mum in 6 weeks from yesterday. I think it's really about like it's pushing your limits, pushing your mental limits, pushing your physical limits. You're tired. I'm talking like I'm not talking about like I did big holidays. I did big trips. Like I think in 1 year I did 7 months out of the year.
Wow.
But it's so good. You just learn about your character. You learn about the character of the people you're with. You learn about how different people live because you meet people and you talk to people.
I think it's like even in the like the spiritual sense, I guess, the biblical sense, it's like you want to make yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, and that's how you're gonna grow. That's how you're gonna learn.
It's the refiner's fire, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have a bit of pain to grow.
So you want to put yourself in that. But
yeah.
Obviously, you're enjoying it on the holiday, hopefully. But
yeah, but there is things that happen sometimes that go wrong and that are uncomfortable. And there are situations where it may seem dangerous. I've definitely put myself in dangerous situations. Sometimes purposefully, like as in just making dumb decisions. Yeah. In hindsight, at the time it was fine. Like getting into a car with random people in the middle of the night. It seems normally like completely fine when you're overseas, and then you think back and like that's probably not a good idea. Yeah.
And just wandering in a country by yourself.
Yeah.
At night.
Yeah. I did it like a little bit of. There was a few moments where I was by myself, solo traveling, which was fun as well. Yeah.
I mean, I did as well. I remember in Portugal, but like it's different. I'm a guy,
you went to the hotel river. You came back. Can I tell that story?
Yeah, what did I come back? Oh,
and you were like so exposed. You had been so exposed. I think it was like one of the first time anyone had offered you drugs.
No, we were offered a lot on that trip.
Yeah, but you were by yourself, and they were like into like. You just got bombarded by people being like, "Do you want to buy cocaine?"
Yeah, because I'm a guy alone in the random streets of Portugal. And you came back
and you're like, Jeanette, everyone's offering me drugs, and I'm like, as long as you didn't take it, we're all good.
Yeah. But it's weird because like I know you said I was like you felt like I had fear in the rides in France, but
I think it was just when we got to the top, and we had to like kind of get out of it.
Maybe. But I was
because we didn't really know where we were going, and I don't know. But maybe I was scared too. I have no idea.
In those situations, I sort of like I realized that I keep my sort of cool.
You didn't. Like, it wasn't like you were panicking.
Yeah.
But it's
like fear isn't that.
It's
smart actually.
There's like a bit of a like flight or fight response, and I think in that situation it was like we need to get out of here. It was getting really dangerous.
Like in those situations, the force uncomfortability, I guess. Like when I went to Vanuatu, it was forced uncomfortability,
discomfort.
Like, but I've been saying all these different words. Uncomfortable. Wait,
uncomfortable is a word. Uncomfortability. I don't know about. Maybe
see, I've been saying that, and then no, maybe it's comfortability is a word. I don't know, but there's so many words.
Comfort.
The amount of times I've said clung or clinged or clanged.
Swim, swam, swam.
Yeah, I don't really say that, but yeah, I'm saying in the podcast.
Oh yeah, I don't know, man.
There was a podcast that wasn't released, and we had the same, literally the podcast before it and the podcast after it. It all said like clang, clinged, clung. I was like, I don't know which one it is still. Anyway, Yeah, I put myself in yeah.
But that's how life's supposed
I
to
don't
be,
know.
right? Like
Yeah.
if you're not putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, um,
Some of my favorite
physically
moments, by
and
the way.
spiritually, then you're not growing.
Yeah.
If you're not pushing yourself and testing yourself, and you're not growing.
Yeah. Some of my favorite moments is like, yeah, just I can't actually say what they are, but it's just like, yeah, like things I wouldn't do in Sydney. But I think maybe I said this to you or someone, but after the Vanuatu trip and after the Europe trip, it's like Jonah is totally different. Like obviously my morals and everything are the same, but it's totally different. Like
Yeah.
I was
See, people
adventurous
think
and
when I'm
stuff.
like, go see the world, they think I'm saying, go be worldly.
No,
No,
yeah, of
it's
course
go
not.
see. Go push yourself. Go put yourself in hard situations and comfortable situations. Go see the people that are uncomfortable.
Mm,
Go see the heartache that's out there. And thank God every day that you have a roof over your head. Like when we went to Ralph and I went to the Philippines. My goodness. Like I remember we were flying into Manila and I just like looked out the window and it's just slums, literally slums.
mm,
Like what you would like
yeah,
just
literal.
tents made of like plastic sheets and it's just thousands and thousands of people. And you just thank God that every day we come home and we have a bed and
Mm,
we have hot water, and these people just live in slums and they're happy and they're fine. Like I guess a lot of the people we were dealing with were really happy and
yeah, yeah.
just
It's there's so many different things that traveling does for you. It depends how you do it, I guess. If you are going to do it to just like I don't know, be of the world,
yeah, it's
don't
different.
like.
No,
I mean, don't do it. I'm just saying that now.
yeah, no, it's that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's just putting yourself in it. Like even if you don't want to go overseas to do it, be okay with having different people in your
Mm,
lives, having people who are not on the same path as you. I'm not telling you to let them influence you, but I'm telling you to be open and understanding that these people exist. Understand why they think the way that they do, or ask them, what is it that makes you think this way? Why? What about if I was to say this is the way I think? What do you think about that? Like, what does it say?
battery exhausted. But
Bye
that's alright.
bye.
That's okay.
Do we need it?
Uh, look, the main camera's on, so
But isn't it plugged in?
yeah, maybe it's I don't know. It's a new camera. We'll figure it out.
Oh.
That's okay.
Well, that's on me now.
I don't know. We'll use the main camera.
No, it's fine. Um, what else?
I think I don't know if there's anything much more.
No,
from
I
traveling.
think maybe the camera's telling us it's time to end.
Maybe I'll get the Polaroid. While I do get the Polaroid,
Do I have words of wisdom? Is that what you're gonna ask me?
yeah, it's a cute photo. Maybe a bit blurry, but
Show me. Blurry. How does a Polaroid be blurry? Is this it? Like fully developed?
I don't think it's fully developed. No.
That is cute. My head
Oh.
looks like a thumb. All right. My words of wisdom.
Or advice or
Or
something.
advice. If you're holding on to hurt, you need to pray and pray and pray and find a way to let that go. If you think that you are being a good friend, then keep being a good friend. If you think you're not doing enough for your friends, then just message them. It doesn't take a lot. Be a good friend. You don't know who needs it. If you're married or in a relationship, pick your battles. And if you haven't traveled, book a ticket and go. I'll help you. I've gone everywhere.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's everything.
Yeah, very good.
Very good.
Do you can sign it?
I will. But can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
No, this is such a good color. If you are watching this and you follow Jonah, you have to understand something about Jonah. He's got. I could be wrong, but I believe that you're 2 love languages. I don't think you've got 1. I think you got 2.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I think 1 is gift giving, to some degree, not receiving.
Yeah, I don't think that's a love language then. Giving.
Yeah, I think you can, because that's how you give love.
I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, I think the other one is words of affirmation.
Really?
I think that you appreciate this. I'm not talking about receiving as much as giving.
Oh, wait. So you're saying when I give
You
words-
like to say
Okay.
things to people. I think that's part of the whole prayer thing as well.
Right,
Like,
right.
because you like to. But well, maybe I got that completely wrong. Anyway, that's what I've decided for you. Yeah. So if you're watching this and you've been watching or whatever, like maybe message Jonah or
What?
yeah, like you need encouragement and support and like it's good to know that people like what they're seeing. Or comment or whatever it is, but it's not so much for the social media aspect. It's more for like
Jonah's aspect.
Jonah's mental health. Let him know that he's making a difference, or you like what you're seeing. I guess.
Jeanette has she's experienced all the stress and stuff. Like,
we've gone through a few crisis
she's
moments
actually
together.
she's been doing a lot of the social media stuff. If it's a bad post, it's from me, but if it's actually well thought, then it's probably Jeanette. Yeah, so she's been seeing the stress. Thing is, I really enjoy the podcast, but it's been it's just like trying to get people on, and with all the the technical difficulties and stuff, it's
Also, if you are keen, please let him know or let me know.
Yes, please.
Jeanette
Jeanette and Mum have actually
started recruiting people.
They've started asking people for.
You're just too busy.
sake.
It's fine, and I'm sitting at home on my broken foot. Yeah, that's all I want to say. If you do watch, just give him a bit of encouragement. I think. Very good.
Thank you.
I'm gonna sign this the original JJ.
I never claimed JJ. It was given to me.
Yeah, well, those people need to take it away. As long as my husband keeps calling me JJ, then we're all good.
That's weird.
Why? It's my name.
You're no longer JJ. And he took that away from you.
He took it away from me, but keeps giving it to me. There you go.
All right. It's actually a very cute photo. I will show you the name. Very good. Cute. What does it say? Why is it flipped? Yes. Did you want to do the outro?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you all for watching. Thank you, Jeanette, for coming on.
You're so welcome, everybody.
I'm sure we'll see her again.
Make
maybe
sure
a
this
double
post
episode.
make sure this episode gets the most likes. I need it for my self-esteem.
There you go. Make sure you like for Jeanette's self-esteem. Yeah, thank you all for watching. Appreciate you all. If you do want to come on, please let me know. It'll save me so much headache. And if you feel like, oh, Jonah doesn't want me on, like you're tripping, because I want you on. I want everyone on. I have some plans for this podcast, and I'm excited. It's just sometimes it gets a bit tough. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you.
Are you saluting?
Yeah, I've been saluting so much recently. I don't know why.
That's so sad.
Am I good saluting?
It's incorrect.
Why?
I think your hand's gonna be up. Anyway,
That's
don't
the
worry. Do
Aussie
it.
way.
Yeah.
This is the American way.
Do it as you
All
want.
right. I don't know why I'm saluting. No, this is how I end it. Like a piece.
Oh, okay. Well.
But anyway.
Bye bye.